All right, y'all. Welcome to the Lioness Den, a space for women by women where we come together to uplift, empower, and grow. I am your host tonight, Vetta D, and today we're diving into a topic that's essential for every woman: setting and maintaining healthy boundaries in a romantic relationship. I know we've all been in some interesting ships. So whether you're in a new relationship, long-term partnership, or just stepping into the dating world, boundaries are the foundation for self-respect, mutual respect, and love. And just making sure that things stay on a neutral, great ground with you and your partner. Today we'll explore how to identify, your boundaries, communicate them effectively with your partner, and what to do when they are challenged. Now, if you're loving this conversation, make sure you are subscribing to the Lioness Den through our Cap House website. We'll go ahead and drop that link as well in the chat. You can follow us there on social media as well, on IG. You can join the conversation right here on Clubhouse every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Now, what are boundaries? Let's start by defining what a healthy boundary looks like in a relationship. Does anybody have a definition of what boundaries is for them? What does that mean for us?
For me, I think I see it as the things that I put into place to self-preserve and also to not be offended or disturbed, so to speak.
Okay. I like that. Anybody else have what boundaries means to them? What's the definition of boundaries to you?
I would definitely agree with love, and I want to add on, my ultimate do's and don'ts, my yeses and no's.
Okay.
I kind of look at it as a space that I allow for other people to be a part of my life. Whatever friendships, work relationships, whatever room is allowed for them.
Okay. Anybody else want to add on to that?
I saw something on the internet, and I think it's something that I wanted to adopt in relationship with my mother, and also with my girlfriends. And then it was also something that I thought would work with I would say late teenage to adult children, right? And they had like your boundaries, and the young lady called it the 911 to 913 of their relationships, right?
Okay.
So we all know what the 911 is, right?
Right, emergency.
Right. And you kind of categorize that and kind of draw it out to a 913 kind of cattle call, right? So a 913 with somebody is like, hey, through a text message, call me back when you can. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
A 912 is maybe a phone call. A girl, I need to talk to you. Are you available? If you're at work, can you meet me for a glass of wine after work? You know what I'm saying? A 912. Hey, bitch, I'm on my way to you, because things ain't right. And then obviously the 911 is, bitch, come get me and my stuff.
Okay. And Vetta, I do want to just piggyback on your question real quick for what boundaries mean for me before we get into the segment.
Okay, sure.
Boundaries to me are a set of limitations that are acceptable for an individual and their relationship, whether it's a mental limitation, an emotional limitation, or a physical one. There are a set of rules set in place, for yourself.
And I'm glad you said that. because that's exactly what I would imagine like boundaries are in a romantic, like they're like the emotional, physical, and mental limits that we set, like to kind of protect ourselves, and establish respect between yourself and your partner. You know what I mean? Like they're the non-negotiable lines that, ensure that we're treated with dignity.
Right, the statutes. Exactly.
I like that a lot. And so that's like more of what we're gonna be steering more towards tonight is romantic relationships. But I feel like we can always spin the block on like friendships, with relationships with our relatives, co-workers, you know what I mean? Because all of these relationships do need boundaries, you know what I mean? And so I want to get into like the types of boundaries. So the types of boundaries that I pull out are like the emotional ones, that where like you can protect your feelings and you know when to give and receive emotional support, right? Then there are the physical ones that, that's your space, your bubble, you know what I mean? Your comfort level with affection and your personal space, right? Then there is the boundary with your time, right? How you prioritize time for yourself, your partner, and other commitments. And then there's the digital ones. And that one was a new one on me. The digital boundary, your privacy with your phone, your social media, and other digital communication. You know what I mean? What are other types of boundaries that ring off in y'all mind? Like when we talk about different types of boundaries?
Definitely boundaries with family.
Now, when you say family, does that mean like when you introduce your partner to your family, or what does that look like?
I think overall boundaries when it comes to family, when introducing them, what's being told to family, how much they're involved in the relationship, how much their opinion matters in the relationship, how much they're around the partner, and things like that. That's what I mean.
Okay.
I would definitely say a boundary. Again, like Casey said, family, but going deeper into it, your kids. You set those particular boundaries for your kids, to protect them not only from the outside world, but protect them from others as well.
Okay. I like that, Lee. That's a very important one too. Especially like when you are a single mom, we got to be real careful who we having around our babies, you know what I mean? Because everybody ain't worthy, I like that one, Lee. That's a real good one.
Can I say one?
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Sure.
I would say like your beliefs or even spiritual or anything, but I know a lot of people, they'll get into dating and they'll like change their beliefs and stuff.
Yeah. Come on, give a hand clap and praise. I like that one.
I'm like, dang, I didn't think about that.
It is.
You said you wanted to add to that, Sassy?
I'm sorry, Sassy.
No, me and her was about to say this. We were saying the same thing. That's what I was about to say. But she got me.
Okay, all right. You want to add a little more to it, Sassy?
We good. No. Y'all ain't get me.
Okay. Does anybody else have like another like boundary, maybe one we haven't said, or you want to expound on one that we have touched?
I don't know how to put it into words, but like my things. Like when it comes to relationships, I definitely have boundaries when it comes to my things, like my home, my car, my phone. There's definitely boundaries to that too.
Okay. Let me see. Where would that really fit? I'm gonna say your phone would be more like digital. Maybe your house may be one that kind of like is like physical, because it's your personal space,
Yeah, right.
But that's definitely.
I was thinking
initially
like I ain't letting nobody drive my car. That's a boundary.
I know that's right. Oh man. So why don't we get into like why boundaries are important? When I think about boundaries and the importance of them, it's not necessarily to like setting boundaries is not about shutting others out. It's about inviting respect and reciprocity into our relationships, And without them, we do risk losing our own sense of self. So, like, can somebody tell me, like, why boundaries are important to them, though? Like, why are boundaries important to y'all think? Like,
okay, so I guess I'll go. Boundaries are I think that boundaries are important to me in every aspect of relationships, because I think that it allows an outline of teaching people how to treat you, in a sense. So I think that showing them, one, that you even have boundaries creates a level of respect.
Okay.
I think that's important, especially with all different type of relationship dynamics.
I agree. Anyone else want to tell us why boundaries are important for them?
It's mostly the same thing Kay just said. It just helped the person identify who you are, right? What you are going for, what you aren't going for. Certain rules, what lines not to cross. It helps a person better recognize who you are without asking set questions. Because people can go so much off of boundaries. Like, if I have a boundary, no, you're not going to drive my car. Or even something as simple as, I have a boundary where you don't eat my kids within the first 6 months. Somebody can get a general idea of the type of person you are based on those boundaries that you set. Oh, this lady right here, she's just not letting any and everybody around her kids. She might have a good foundation. She might be one that's for the long road, not the short road, right? Because my boundary is, I don't want you around my kids. I don't want you in my house with my kids. Whereas another lady, she might not have that boundary and she doesn't get taken as seriously.
Understandable.
Boundaries for me, it's kind of more of a personal thing, like, so that I can remember who I am, that I'm not losing myself so much dealing with somebody else and compromising so much. So them boundaries are kind of just for me to also understand, like, this is who you are, this is your limits and stuff, not just for the other people. That's what my boundaries are for.
Okay.
And that's a good
Sassy
point.
commented in the chat. She said it's definitely a respect thing for me. That's what Sassy said.
Okay. And I just want to say to what you said, Lefa, I really do like that, because sometimes people do look at, I'm setting boundaries for you. Not so say myself, to understand and recognize who you are, right? Because if you just go for anything, you might just be the person to try something new that's not even like you. So I do like that point, setting boundaries for yourself and not other people.
Exactly, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
I do.
Okay. I definitely think that is.
We got some new people on the stage. Hey.
Hey y'all, welcome into the Lioness Den. I'm so glad you all could join us.
Good night, y'all. What's up?
Hello.
Hey. So tonight we're discussing boundaries, and we're getting ready to move into the portion of the show that we get to talk about why they're important, or how do we recognize your boundaries. The first step is self-awareness, I believe. Before you can communicate your boundaries to someone else, you need to understand what makes you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. And then you can reflect on your past relationships, what felt good and what crossed the line. And that kind of helps you define your boundaries, so to speak. And so I want to hear from y'all, like, what does that look like for y'all? How do you recognize, like, okay, this is a boundary. This is gonna be where I draw the line right here.
Well, I guess I'll go first. I think that sometimes, like that whole saying, like it takes losing yourself to find yourself. So I think that sometimes through certain situations, it may have to be the taken to the furthest extreme for you to understand, what, this is a boundary that needs to be created, and I'm no longer bending on this rule. Or maybe it's a boundary I didn't even think about, but because I allowed this person to do this, now this is something moving forward that I'm going to stick to.
Okay.
I think certain boundaries can come from also watching other people. Like, if you grow up watching your mom go through something, or your aunt or grandmother or something, you just like, yeah, hell no. I'm not gonna do that. So I think boundaries can come from watching other people or even your friends, homegirls, whatever.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of times we hear like horror stories, right? Things that we know that other people have gone through. For instance, like for me, I'm going to say like physical abuse or domestic violence is a nope, 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 no. I have heard so many like horror stories with that, and I guess like I don't ever want to be in a relationship where I got to physically hit you. I just, at this big old age and being able to express myself with my words, I should not have to put my hands on you. And if I feel like that, like we can't have disagreements without us just like talking it out, like I ain't saying that we might not argue about it, but it should never get to a point where you are putting your hands on me physically or me physically putting my hands on you. That right there is a boundary for Vetta.
Right.
You do not, yeah, we not doing that. No,
So Vetta, let
sir.
me ask you a question based off that, and not too much to get too off topic. What about the women that have that
Sure.
domestic violence boundary put up? And what about the ones that bend that boundary based on how the man treats them? How
Say
do
that
you
to
feel
me
about people
again.
bending boundaries to suit someone else instead of their self?
Bending boundaries to suit
Yeah.
like your
So
own
for a prime example,
boundaries.
the example that you just gave, you have a boundary that you're not going to allow a man to
Mm-hmm.
hit you, to beat on you. It's a lot of women that has
Right.
those boundaries that may be getting hit or beat on that found themselves in a domestic violence relationship. So do you think that they bent that boundary because they found somebody that they like, that will compromise them, and that boundary was worth taking away? Or why do you feel that that boundary was knocked down? That's what I'm trying to
I,
ask.
okay. So at first it would have to be a boundary for them because just because it's one for me doesn't mean it's one for them. So is that a boundary for them? You know what I mean? Is that something that they saw is like this is an absolute hell no? Or is it something that they felt like, well, everybody has issues, and if he gets therapy, I'm okay with, growing with it. You know what I mean? It would have to be a boundary for them. You know what I mean? And if it is a boundary for you and you bend it and you find yourself in trouble, then that might be the light bulb. This is an absolute hell no. But because I like you, I went ahead and kind of bent on that a little bit, but now I find myself fighting with you every night or whatever. But that should be the thing. And as far as like what I think of, like, I'll be honest with you, I could say how I feel about it all day, right? But
Right.
that's kind of a tricky.
And somebody, yeah, and
That's a
someone in the
tricky place
chat
to
said
be.
that they never really had the boundary set. That's why it was never there. So more so on going what you're saying, they never had it set in the first place.
Yeah, and I said that in the chat, and the reason because I used it as an example. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. Okay, I was just go ahead.
I was just going to reiterate because I felt like I had used or introduced the idea of bending boundaries when I had, first initially answered the question. And that is bending the boundaries brought me to the idea that, hey, did you really have a boundary set for this? Or are you moving in this manner because it's something that you're doing to please someone else? And so that is what really pushed me into setting boundaries. So that's why I had the answer. They may not have had the boundaries set in the first place.
Betty, can I say something about the bending boundaries? So I
Yes,
feel like you
ma'am.
should never bend your boundaries just because I feel like if you bend it, you can break it. And that's when manipulation starts coming into play, and it's easy to like morph somebody in who you want them to be, and then things just start changing. So I feel like if you're going to have a boundary, make sure you're standing on it and don't bend it. And if somebody tries to make you bend it, they don't respect you enough and you should move on.
That part. And I totally agree.
I
Agreed.
I
totally
like
agree.
that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Put that
Can
on
we
a
give her a hand
t-shirt.
clap and
Put
praise
that
on
on
that
a
one?
Totally agree.
t-shirt.
And
Say it
that's why
louder
I
for the biddies in the
asked.
back.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep, and that's one of the main
Yeah.
reasons why I asked, what do you think about bending boundaries? Because you should stand on them, right? You're not setting them to bend them, you're standing them for a rule platform for a foundation.
Right.
You're
But if I
setting
can
them to
add to that,
protect
I hope
yourself.
it's not.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
and I hope it's not veering it off. But it was brought up, learning boundaries from looking at other people, and I think that sometimes watching other people bend those boundaries, or you know what I'm saying, give and take, and not necessarily stand on their values, is something that you can learn as well. So it's like a subconscious thing that you learn to like set the boundary, but then let somebody push the envelope a bit.
So we have a question in the chat, and it's an interesting question. Um, and they want to know if love is worth compromising a boundary.
I don't think so personally. Because if you love me and it's a boundary, as most of my boundaries are literally like they set in stone. So if you love me, you should respect my boundary, and I'm not changing it. And if you don't love me enough to respect it, we just gonna have to part ways. Exactly.
Right, because is this love? I have a reason for this boundary.
Exactly.
It's a boundary for a reason. It's a limit, and it's like nah. I think
Yeah,
it
and I would think that.
Because just because I love you don't mean I'm going to allow you to beat my tail. Or just because I love you don't mean I'm going to allow you to cheat. You know what I mean? Just because I love you don't mean I'm going to allow you to disrespect me. Like, this is a boundary right here. And that's what makes or breaks the relationship. If I tell you I don't want you to physically hit me when we are in disagreement, and you do it, boy, I can't help you pack your stuff fast enough. Because I said I
But
don't
before you
want
get
this.
to the point of love, I think that the person has already been introduced to your boundaries and are somewhat clear on what they are. So going back to the point y'all made already, like, is that love? Do they really love you? Or is it starting to push that side of like, now I'm just trying to manipulate you?
Absolutely, because I feel like especially for physical and cheating and stuff, that's introduced before y'all even get into a relationship. Most women I know speak on that before even getting into a relationship. Like, this is what I'm not going to allow. So if you try to start doing that in a relationship, this ain't love for real. You was finding a way to manipulate, and you was just seeing if I was going to crack at any point.
Yeah, you was seeing if I was going to go for it. Listen, I heard somebody say, I ain't saying you can't do what you want to do.
Period.
I just ain't going for it.
Now put that on the shirt.
Hello?
Hello? Now, let's move forward to communicating boundaries. How do we do that? Like, for me, I feel like it should be clear and direct. Like, it's important to be assertive but gentle when discussing boundaries, I feel like. There are even certain phrases that you can use. You know what I mean? Phrases like, I feel, which is, like an emotion. When a situation happens, I would appreciate it if we did it like that instead of this. It seems to be more helpful. You understand what I mean? Then there are the non-negotiables, like we just talked about. I feel like every woman should have them, obviously. You know what I mean? And obviously, these are boundaries that we don't compromise on. Our timing, choosing the right time for different things and conversations. Like, maybe when I get off work, I don't really want to talk about what's going on here in the house yet. I don't want to talk about what bills is due right now. I don't want to talk about let me get undressed, let me shower, let me do my thing for a second, and then we could talk about this. You know what I mean? How do we communicate? How would you communicate your boundaries to your person?
I would do it in the soft way, like you did earlier, because it's not about what you say; it's how you say it.
I think both of those things matter, and I'm gonna say it, with experience and not with a partner. I had to be assertive to communicate with, medical team to get what I needed at that moment. I was setting my boundaries. They were not listening. Like, how do I put it? You do need to be assertive sometimes. Being soft it doesn't work for certain I don't know how to say it.
Well, the question I would have with that is it only verbal ways to communicate your boundaries? Do you think that, like, also the way that maybe you move and in the manner, like, what you allow around you or not, like, also communicates what your boundaries are?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I think that you can communicate boundaries through body language. I do, especially in the bedroom. Okay, it's just particular in what right, and I like that. And if I squirm a little bit, I don't like that. And it's just those boundaries can be set through body language, but I don't think that boundaries are something that you necessarily list, like an outline when you're first meeting somebody. Let the conversation happen naturally. Let it get down to the, I really don't care when you do that, or, I'm not comfortable with you meeting my kids, or I really don't, like when you rush me and I'm trying to look for my things. It's a particular way that you say it. You can be very soft and not so incantant about it, but in another way. Like Annette said, sometimes you have to be assertive because some niggas just don't get it, right? You're in this relationship, you don't like when he do this, and you might have to get to a point where it's like, hey, I don't like when you do that. Stop doing that. That really frustrates me. Versus he didn't catch it the first time. So it's really on both spectrums. But me personally, I don't think that boundaries need to be outlined when you first meet somebody. It can come off as very nagging. It can come off as very negative to some people. Yeah.
Okay. I do agree with being assertive. Sometimes people don't really understand until you assert yourself. You know what I mean? Or you become very stern. I'm not saying you become disrespectful or anything, but when you become stern, like, I hate to move off of the romantic relationships, but like even with our kids, right? Sometimes our kids don't really understand right off. Sometimes you really do have to be like, listen, I want this done, or I don't want you to do this because. And they can tell by maybe the inflection in your voice or how direct you're being with them. Like, oh, she's not busy. She is not.
Like, even in a relationship, you know what I mean? Right? Because you simply tell a guy, don't drive my car again without putting gas in it. It's stern. It's something that you're setting. So exactly, it can be used in a relationship as well. I think it just depends on the receiver.
Even with our parents, they look at us as they birthed us. And if you're living with them and you have to set certain boundaries, you definitely have to be stern. Like, you have to be assertive and stern. I learned it the hard way.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You also have to be consistent with your boundaries. There has to be consistency. Just because this is a boundary, this should be a boundary for you all the way around. Like, if I don't want this in this situation, I don't want it in any situation.
And Levels just said that in the chat. Levels just said keep the same routine from day one. Just exactly.
Oh yeah, from day one. Consistency.
Absolutely.
Yep, I like that.
And what I meant by that is like, I mean, you may laugh and kiki, like, if he comes over your house and y'all might want to do a little something, and you kiki, yeah, homie, go ahead and take them pants off before you get in my bed. Yeah, don't turn the sheets back before you get in my bed. Turns into a year and a half later. Yeah, homie, my wife would kill me if I get in bed with them clothes on, right? Yeah, because you already know. Don't play with me like that. Because I'm a germaphobe. You know what I'm talking about? Please, don't get in my bed with clothes on. Take a whole shower. Everybody in my house takes a whole shower and puts on inside clothes before they get on my couch, before they get in my beds, any of that. Because I come in my house, I take my work uniform off, I take a shower, I put on inside clothes inside my house. So that is how I treat my house. So that is how I expect things to be. So, like I said, it's the same routine. I may laugh and joke with you in the beginning, but if that's how I expect it to be, I'm going to maintain that from start until. I'm not going to waver from that. Again, that's a boundary for me. I'm not going to turn back my bed and let you lay with your outside jeans all up in my bed. Sir, I'm going to hand you a pair of pajama pants for you to walk around in my house. These are inside clothes, sir. You can walk around my house in these. What you mean? Because nobody walks around my house in outside clothes. They don't.
That's a
So
boundary.
do you think that with the consistency, right, on your end, do you think that also respecting someone else's boundaries is a part of it as well? Because if I'm being consistent with respecting your boundaries, I'm expecting the same in return. So I think that could be another aspect of, teaching and keeping your boundaries.
And that's a boundary set for your sanity, because why are you in my bed with outside clothes? Now I'm going crazy.
So I want to get in, and that was a great segue into my next question. What do you think, what are some of the different emotional, cultural, and societal factors that influence us as women and our ability to set boundaries? Now, I know we talked earlier about hearing different stories or whatever, but what are some emotional, cultural, and societal factors that assist us with setting those boundaries?
I think some things are, like you said, cultural passed down things. You will hear it very quickly that Big Mama did it this way, my mama did it that way, so I do it this way. And it's not going to change. Therefore, I teach my daughter to do it this way. Or this is what I impart on my son. So, that's how I got. Now, it's certain things as I get older, you know what I'm saying? If I feel that I now understand that when I was 12 is very different than him being 12, it's a different time. You see what I'm saying? So I cannot expect, because his world is different than mine was, that things will never be the same. I get that. But there are certain things within my household. Yeah, if it ain't broke, I ain't trying to fix it. I understand that a little hot water and some bleach with a little pine salt is the way that you go mop this floor, young man. Go on and put it in that bucket together. Okay? It ain't gonna hurt nothing. I got an OC to mop because I'm old. You understand me? That old regular mop from the dollar store that you got to wring out, you going over there and get that. This OC is for privileged people like me. You gonna wring it out like I had to wring it out. You understand me?
That cough that you got from them fumes, that's normal. Just go ahead and cough through it.
Just go ahead and cough. It's okay.
Don't even worry about it. You can go to the window, lift the windows. That's why that's why our mamas let the windows up on Saturday morning. You hear me? Praise God.
That's why you coughing, because there's no fresh air coming from the window. Hello?
Coming in here. And my mama used to do stuff like, my mama would thank God and the heavens above for a rainy Saturday, because she would open up the patio, the windows, and let all the fresh air from the rain while she is cleaning the house from the ceiling to the floorboards. You hear me? She would love a good rainy Saturday, baby. That was her Christmas. Cleaning Christmas.
Ain't nothing like it.
Yeah. And I know I ain't alone when the mamas told us to put not only Dawn dish soap, but a cap full of that bleach off on them dishes, okay?
And if it ain't no bleach in there, go on and do them again. Go on and do them again.
Cap full of bleach in the dish.
It's not clean. Do them again.
It ain't clean. Yeah, it ain't clean. My mama would take the stuff out the
Cause
rack and put it back
I
in
don't
the
smell bleach. Put it back.
water.
Yeah.
I'll smell it.
Hello.
If your nose ain't burning from that bleach when you go
You
outside, you
talk
take
Hello.
about
that
heart rate
trash out.
coming back
You
to
ain't
see them
cleaning for
dishes
real.
back in the sink.
You ain't
Hello?
cleaning,
That part. Mm-hmm.
honey. You
Mm-hmm.
ain't about to fall onto the floor yourself. Listen,
Oh,
Vetta, can I hear what you asked
listen.
again?
look, and don't put the silver well away
Sure.
because she gonna empty out the whole thing. Cause I don't know what you put in here.
My mama would do stuff, and I'm gonna answer your question in just a second. My mama would do stuff like, take the,
Mm-hmm.
the tray that holds the silverware, baby. That's going in
All
the
of yeah, the
dishwater
whole
too.
thing.
Cause what you mean?
Saturday morning. Yep. Wash that too.
You ain't finna have a bunch of breadcrumbs in my drawer. You better empty this thing out
Mm-hmm.
in the trash and wash this. Mama able to play. So the question that I posed was, what are some emotional, cultural, and societal factors that influence women's ability to set boundaries?
Well, that, yeah.
And so that's how we got into the whole cleaning thing, because most black mamas don't play
I
them
forgot
nasty
the question
houses.
too. I would say
That's a
religion is
cultural thing.
definitely a big part.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, regardless
Expound on
of
that
whatever
for
it
us.
is that you believe in, if you were raised in a specific religion, I'm standing on my porch in the rain. Let me know if my background's too loud. Okay. I think that when you're raised in
You
a
good.
certain religion, you're raised with those values, you're raised with those boundaries. So then when you get into your adulthood and your adult life, subconsciously and consciously in certain aspects, you impart that in your life. So I think it helps to choose your boundaries. Like, okay, well, I know that this isn't, this doesn't fit my religion or whatever it is I believe in, or it does, but this is a boundary for me. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit for my life. So I think religion's a big, big part.
And I think like that whole cleansiness is next to
Okay.
godliness. That's like a foundational type of thing. Yeah,
Hello?
that's
I
always like
forgot
a
all
nice
about that one.
undertone that always kind of plays in my subconscious. So even when, I'm like, should I pick it up?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you hear it in the back of your head. Like, oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Like, you know what I mean? Absolutely, as you should. So I think that religion,
Mm-hmm.
Casey, I do have to agree with you, that definitely plays a part in an undertone as far as on the cleaner aspect. Now, as far as boundaries are concerned, I think boundaries are there. I use boundaries for me. I don't really use it for other people. I use boundaries as a way to keep things fresh, so I don't overindulge, because I could have a addictive personality. I've seen that. Like I'll keep going back and back and back and back and back. So I think boundaries for me help me keep my lines separated. It keeps black and white, so there's no gray areas. Does that make sense? It makes sure that I'm not able
Mm-hmm.
to
Okay.
spill over
Yes, that's
certain things. For example, I said in the room, I was talking to EXO, I think this, a couple of days ago in the morning time, and I said, look, I've never been that girl to have coworkers as my friend. Vetta, I think he was in the room too. And I never really crossed those boundaries.
yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
had people say, "Oh my God, I wish I knew you was that cool when we worked together." And my response will always be, "Well, honey, the only reason why you know of me this in this light is because we don't work together." So I've always just been that girl, and maybe that's how I was raised as an island girl. I'm not sure, but the friendly and things like that. We keep a even keel. Everybody's not your friend. Everybody that smile with you is not gonna cheer you on in your win. So I just kind of really, 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 yes, man, no beg friend. We don't beg friends. You follow? So at the end of the day, it's very. I don't know. The boundaries is for me, honey. It's not for other people, because people are reckless, and you know what? I don't trust people enough with my emotions, with my heart, with who I am as a person. I can't trust somebody to care for me as I would for myself.
Okay.
So boundaries protect me.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Does anybody else have input on that question?
I would go back to Lifa's point from the beginning as well when you said cultural or all of that. I think that what you saw in life, like whether it be your family life or business, whatever, you're gonna create those boundaries based off of what you have seen.
Okay. I definitely agree with that. I agree with Chinky's, like with the coworker thing. That's the kind of societal thing that I feel like our generation just got used to, really. With setting boundaries between, work and, personal life. So here's another question. What are some red flags that indicate your boundaries are being crossed?
When they get to yelling and getting upset when I'm expanding my boundaries, that's a red flag and I'm gone.
If I become too irritable,
Amen.
if I'm always finding myself short with you,
Yep.
my boundaries have officially been crossed. Like, ideally, I have the same kind of energy with everybody. I'm even kill, I'm a crack a joke, I like to smile, ha ha he he, But once I feel irritation, once I feel like, why is this person here? If I get that too frequently, boundaries. Either I laxed on my boundaries or I need to create better ones.
Or you need to be more stern with them. You need to,
Girl, if I get any more sterner, I'm a...
Right. But that's the thing, right? Because you don't want nobody to cross it. And I feel exactly what you're saying.
I'm
Because
gonna
when
be
my boundaries are
awarded,
crossed, I
honey.
get irritated. I get irritated quick. I start saying stuff like, you're not that person anymore. Okay? So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't want to, I still want to be a friendly person.
Right.
But a part of being friendly is knowing boundaries. That's for you. I don't think boundaries is ever for another person. I think boundaries is a healthy way to say, okay, let me unplug. Everybody needs a moment to recharge. And I feel boundaries is what helps us do that. Because if you don't have a time to digress, to reflect, to reason with yourself, you can't do that if you're always plugged in. If people are easily accessible to you. And then, hold on. And then, can y'all hear me or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
And then,
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
If you're of a certain type of light, right? You wouldn't want everybody is attracted to light, right? And if you are light, everybody gonna want to touch you. You can't have that. That's transference of energies. You ever had a bad day or heard about somebody else's bad day and then all of a sudden your day is bad?
Yep.
That's another key reason of boundaries on my end too. Because I've seen certain play outs and I'm like, as soon as something go wrong in my world, I'm in my head like, nah, what did I skip? What did I miss? What's going on?
I think another red flag would be like if I feel like I have to keep reiterating my boundary or why I'm not okay, or it's too much explanation. Situations transpire and then I gotta keep explaining how you was wrong. That's definitely a red flag for me.
That's exhausting too. That could get exhausting. Like, I have to tell you I get like if you don't know, you don't know, but like, dog, every time, like you just be so oblivious like that. That would wear me out. Anybody else have any red flags? Like, how do you know when your boundaries are being crossed? What does that look like?
I would add too, if I feel like, because I think we bringing it back to relationships. I think that sometimes in relationships, I have found myself, I don't know if everybody has, so I can't say we, but I have found myself where I tried to, in certain aspects of the relationship or certain aspects of what they want and like, try to be that. If I feel that I'm doing that too much, it's obviously a red flag on our boundaries because I'm trying to switch up too much of who I am.
For me, like, I don't know if anybody else has even experienced this. It's like something will it's not necessarily an emotion for real. It's just like
You get those knots in
like
your
a
stomach.
jolt of energy will let me know, like, oh girl, because this is about to be something. We need to back up and remove ourselves now. Because the next thing is, like, you know, and I'm still working on myself. The next thing is I'm going to start coming out of my mouth and coming out of my body. And I don't want to do that. I will literally physically feel that. I will physically feel it. And so that's my body telling me, or my nervous system telling me, like, yo, we got to get out of here. Because this is about to compromise all that we are. And we don't got time. We don't have the time. So either I'll get quiet and won't say nothing at all, or I'm going to go smooth off. And when I feel that energy on myself, that's red flag. That's the cardinal flag. I ain't gonna just say it's a red flag. It's the cardinal one. And I know that this ain't a good conversation. This ain't a good space. This ain't a good argument. This is not good right here. And I need to go. That's how it happens for Vetta.
Yup, and I'm the same way. And I just get real quiet. And then you won't see me. I'll just start backing up all the way. Mm-hmm. And I'll be like, what's going on with Sassy? But hey, I gotta move back because I don't want to say better. Y'all know how my mouth is. I be trying to be real. I be trying my hardest, you know. So
see, that's you putting up a boundary to protect them.
Right.
Exactly. Hello, who said that? Get him a hand clapping praise.
Love said that.
That was me.
Oh no,
come on, love.
My mouth.
Thank you, Heifers.
Crazy.
And also, I feel like I have felt those things physically, but maybe for the women that might have a hard time setting boundaries, what do you do in those moments? Because for me, I'm like, fuck, let's go. You want to turn up? You want to dance? Let's dance.
Baby, we go dance.
Crazy.
No, like I said, for me, I get real quiet because I know that I'm at the part of whatever this is where everything that's about to come out of my mouth is about to be dumb reckless. And I guess
it's like when you feel that, right? Like how do you check yourself and move into the next moment? You get what I'm saying?
So
I have to literally go on quiet, go on mute, and tell myself, Vetta, this ain't for you. God, I had to talk to I had to talk to the Lord.
Yeah, you gotta talk.
You see what I'm saying, Lord? I could have said X, Y, and Z, but I didn't. I'm grown.
Right.
And I'm gonna let them have this because they need it. I don't. And I'm gonna sit back to the next part of the conversation starts, and then I'm back. That's how I do that.
Exactly. And sometimes you can call that friend and talk to them like, am I tripping? Like, tell me if I'm the one doing something, you know.
Right.
Let me know. Right. Me and Vetta done had to do that a couple.
Oh, I just had to do that with Sassy. I had to call Sassy like, Sassy, I know I'm not tripping, but Auntie, tell me.
Right.
Is it me?
Right. So sometimes you gotta call that friend and just, you know, if you got that one that's gonna be 1,000 with you.
Yeah.
Can't be that 10% friend.
Yeah.
Cause Sassy will check me. She'll check me. And she'll let me know.
That's why I stopped calling, because she be checking me.
You did. K-Slay did stop calling me though, because I used to.
Sassy is good for that. Sassy will put you in check. But see, she do it from a place of love. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And that's why Sassy is one of them people that if I need to be checked, if somebody got to say something to me, probably that I don't want to hear, you got to talk to me. Like, I'm a type of woman, you got to talk to me nice. I don't do all that disrespectful. I'm going to just tell you the truth. I don't do that. You got to talk to me nice because I'm going to respect you. So it takes a person like Sassy to be like, come here. Come. I got to tell you something. And you might not like it, but
space. She creates a safe space where you don't even, like, in the midst of it. Sometimes for me, in the dynamic of being Sassy, I didn't even realize that I was being checked until the conversation was over, and now I'm having a quiet moment, and I'm like, wait,
reflecting.
Wait,
Reflecting.
this is what she was really saying. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you're right. Because maybe
Yeah.
sometimes when you're in those moments and you know that you're wrong and you're feeling it physically and you know that you're pushing your boundary and you know you're on the verge, you don't want to hear the truth.
Exactly. And it be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I appreciate Sassy's
Better
friendship.
too. Better will check me too.
Oh yeah.
I ain't gonna
But you
lie.
see, I learned from people like Sassy where I don't have to be nasty and mean and disrespectful when I want to tell you something. You know what I mean? But because I'm a Sagittarius at heart, baby. I'ma tell you the pure, unmitigated truth. Don't ask me if you don't want me to say it. I'm sorry. But I'ma try to get you from love. I'm not gonna beat you down though. Because I don't like that. I don't like that. You see what I'm saying? Even if we in conflict and you and I gotta have a conversation, I'm not gonna be rah-rah with you. I'm not. I'm gonna try not to anyway. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. Let me retract that statement because I have definitely gone to hell. I'm gonna try my best not to. But when I feel like you coming for me, there have been times where I have definitely gone to hell with some folks.
Well, I got a question, but I seen that Love might have been coming off her mic. Love, what you?
Okay, go ahead, love. I'm sorry.
I'm high. I forgot.
Oh Lord.
So my question would be, do you think that sometimes for people that can be rah-rah in certain situations, or when you have found yourself to be there, was it more of like a defense mechanism of trying to protect that boundary?
Yes. I
I
was
would say
trying to.
yes.
Yes.
I would say yes. And I would say yes to what I was saying earlier because sometimes in my head, I really have to be like, I'm not that person no more. Like, we've come so far to let this person get you out your element. We not that no more. But like Vetta said, we can get rah-rah if you want to. But sometimes I just don't got time. Sometimes I really just be chilling, and that's real life, you know? Like, so I'm not going to let anybody compromise that boundary. Regardless, like, I don't really let people get to me, and that's just honest. Sometimes I do. Y'all seen people get to me, but in like life, nah, I be really chilling. I don't have time for the nonsense, and that's a boundary that I set for myself, you know. But it can go another way. It just kind of depends on if I feel like splitting that boundary open or not. Yeah, because I'm the kind that'll just sit back. I'll be quiet. I won't say nothing. I'll actually read the room, you know, and kind of see what's going on. Trying to feel the room out, seeing what's going on, feeling the energy, like all the energy around me, you know, to kind of pinpoint what I can and can't do. And that's the same thing in relationships, right? Like, you sit back and you just observe. Sometimes you just have to observe where the intent is coming from, if it's genuine or not, especially within setting boundaries with somebody.
This is such a lovely conversation.
It is.
I really am enjoying this. My last question for the conversation. How do we reclaim our voice in relationships where our boundaries have been repeatedly disrespected? How do we do that?
Leave.
It's the strength to leave.
Leave.
Yep.
Because the red flags are there.
Are you talking
Okay.
about just romantic relationships or also like
Yes,
friends?
romantic relationships.
Okay.
Get the
I would definitely
strength
say that
up
leave
and
too, or
leave.
find somebody that respects you and loves you enough to respect the boundaries.
Do
Definitely.
you think we could do this and still keep our relationships? Or should it just
If
be automatically over?
if they love you enough, they'll be able to change and be like, okay, they said don't do this no more. I'm not going to do that. And if they don't, I would say leave. I will give them a chance though. I don't always say automatically leave because some people are still learning. Like, yeah, we're adults, but there's certain things that we are learning or we're learning the people that we're with. So I wouldn't leave automatically. I'm going to give you a chance to change. And if I don't see no change, then I'm gone.
Right. And she said
I
repeatedly. So repeatedly means, continuously. So we're leaving. Now, if it's just a one or a two-time thing, people have to figure people out. Like, you're not going to just hop to who I want you to be. We have to build a foundation on being each other's person. So a couple of times, yeah, I'm going to let that boundary slide, but it's still going to be known I'm not rocking with it. And that one good time is like, okay, look, this is this and that is that, and we're gonna give it about 2 more times after that, and then I'm out. So that's what I meant. Well, that's what I think she means by repeatedly. But yes, definitely give people the time to show.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's all in the phase of when you're teaching people how to treat you. Like, you can't just say the very first time you cross this boundary, you're out. I'm still learning to respect your boundaries too, because it's something that I may have never had to deal with before. So you got to have that grace, because you need the same thing. But if it keeps happening, yeah, that's a person that's not willing to change for the better of the relationship. So you got to walk away.
Does anybody else have an example of how we can reclaim our voice in those relationships during the times where our boundaries have been crossed or disrespected?
Doghouse. Put him in the doghouse, girl.
Put him in the doghouse.
He don't learn. Teach that nigga, okay?
You know, I'm good about conversation. Y'all know I love to talk. And so, and maybe this might be even a gift and a curse for me about having conversations with my partner, because what you'll never be able to say if a relationship is called to end is that I did not try, or I did not tell you, or you did not know. So I'm going to inform you, like, this is a boundary. We had this conversation before, and it's still happening. And so I want to know, like, what we gonna do about that? Are you interested in keeping me as a partner? Do you understand why this is a boundary for me? Because I've had people tell me like, that you got that, that's stupid. Why is that about? What you mean it's stupid? It's how I feel.
Right.
And
that's all.
You know what I'm saying? And so basically what you've said is that you don't give a damn about my boundary or how I feel or my feelings. Yeah, we're done here. But you'll never say that Vetta didn't tell you. She didn't tell me nothing. You a lie. I don't know why you a lie. I talk way too much and too loud. Hello? For you not to know. Don't play with me. Try Jesus.
Right. And so we have right, okay. We have a question. Quanda asks, do you think that some people can be extreme or unrealistic with boundaries?
That's a good question. What y'all think?
I said absolutely.
Okay.
I met a guy who, he didn't specifically say that it was a boundary, but he strongly implied that it was when he said he would not continue having dinner with a woman who used her thumb to scrape food onto her fork. And I'm like, that's so tiny. But, to him, it might be a big old thing. But to me, I'm like, that is extreme. Very extreme.
That's one of those societal things, though, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we could definitely keep this dialogue going. You can head over to the Cap House space, sign up, register, get a membership, and you can join us in the Lioness Den over there. I want to hashtag this conversation, hashtag Lioness Boundaries. Until next week, guys, I want to thank you for coming out and supporting the Lioness Den yet again. I love y'all.